Well, hello, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Guys, this is Mike from Bolton here with my brother, Calvin,
From another mom.
from another mom, one of my favorite trainers on earth.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I don't.
One of my favorite guys on Earth, on the planet Earth.
Yeah, we're hanging out here at SHOT Show 2024. We got the media room behind us. One of the best perks about coming to SHOT Show for media. And
If you're not media, it kind of sucks.
Yeah,
you got to pay extra.
Shh, don't tell anybody.
Oh, I don't know that.
But I was like, you know what? While we're here, I might as well pull Calvin over for a bit of an interview because I only ever get to see you once a year.
Once
brother.
a year.
Yeah.
And that was only in the last 2 years.
Yeah. Before that, we saw each other a little bit more often. But so I was like, you know what? I got this short interview series called Five with a Fighter.
Okay.
Takes, anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes or something like that. It could go quicker, depending on your answers.
Sure.
So I got the same 5 questions that I ask everyone that comes on.
All right.
All right?
This will be quick.
This will be quick. Calvin's a man of few words, maybe not as few as Jay Gibson, but...
Nah, you tell me how to expand on the question or the answer, and
Sure.
I'll see what I can do.
So our common bond is obviously training,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So the first question in Five with a Fighter is, where did training start for you? Like, what's your foundation?
Like official training classes, or
It could be anything. Like we've had some people say, "Well, I learned from my dad," or something like
gotcha.
that.
Okay.
Or it can be like, what was your first commercial firearms training? Like for me, it was tactical response.
All right,
That's the.
This is like a 10-part question.
Oh,
here.
maybe
Yeah.
he's not a man of few words.
Well, this one, I mean, it can be. I'll just list the 10 and then just leave, but I'll expand on it.
Sure.
So, I guess, from my dad, I grew up in a neighborhood. We ran a convenience store. My dad ran a convenience store, a series of them. Kind of in a rough neighborhood, like the one we're staying at.
Yeah.
Like the Airbnb.
Rough.
Yeah. We didn't have tents back then. I don't know. They have a lot of tents here for some reason.
Yeah. I was expecting more pallets with
Yeah.
some tarps on them. No, they got Eureka
Or
tents
cars.
and cars. Like there's a Mustang with a tent popping out of it.
He said 2 spare tires laying there. I was like, man, I need one of those. Oh, you're fine. So, my dad was a big believer in carrying a gun, and I think I started carrying a gun probably when I was I think I was about 8 or 9. It was one of my dad's snub-nose 38s. It was legitimately he had a 3-inch Charter Arms 38 and a snub-nose 38. And here's the bad part. All right. So the hammer on the snubby, I don't even know if I never shot it until 5 years later.
Oh.
Okay, so that's training, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know this as a kid, but for my dad, it was all about just show them that you have a gun and they'll leave you alone kind of mentality.
Yeah, just rack the shotgun.
Just
and
kind of
they'll go.
racking the shotgun on you, And my dad had been mugged before, He'd been assaulted. He had stitches on his head. Been knocked unconscious at least once that I know of. So he wasn't not a stranger to danger, being a victim of violence, but this was still his mentality.
Yeah.
To show them a gun, they'll respect you, they'll leave you alone. I grew up hunting and shooting rifles and stuff. And I shot that 38. I think I was probably 12. Mm-hmm. So this goes to show
Yeah, you grew up with it. And your dad encouraged it.
Exactly, he encouraged it, but we didn't really practice shooting the gun. I shot rifles, but we never shot the 38s.
Yeah.
And then my dad ended up buying this AMT 380, and he let me kind of hang on to it when I was probably about 10 or 11. Anyways, fast forward, I shot that thing. It was a piece of junk too. That thing wouldn't work. Oh, that snubby, I lost track, but the hammer was JB welded together. The firing pin was old school firing pin. That thing was JB welded on there, and it broke on shot number 4 or something.
Oh man.
Yeah. So, anyways.
Well, it would have gotten you 4/6 of the way through the.
Yeah. So it's never 6 for sure, guys.
Yeah.
Just remember that about revolvers.
Yeah, but revolvers never break.
Yeah, they never break, especially when they're JB welded.
Yeah,
right?
and never malfunction, right?
Yeah, that's what I hear. Anyways, so I had 2 gun magazines, literally 2. One of my uncles bought them at a the local Kmart or whatever and brought them home, and he left them. And I was reading these articles, like Masada Ayub was writing in them. And one was about shoulder rigs, if I remember right, and the other was, I don't know, it was like the 1911.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, that's an awesome looking gun.
That's what made me fall in love with
Really?
handguns.
Yeah.
Of course, they're the sexiest looking gun.
Yeah, they are. They are.
But they just don't work as well.
They probably work, well, yeah, they probably don't work as well. Even that Snubby had like 4 out of 6.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you get like 5 out of 7 with a.
Yeah, right. But you don't know which 5. That's the problem.
Yeah, it might be the last 5.
Yeah, exactly. You could have like a Type 99 malfunction and then a Type 2, and then the 5 will work, and then you're out of bullets, and you're like, oh shit.
Right.
Right. So, anyways, there's a couple like, I guess, incidences like as a private citizen. Like, I won't deter too far into one of them.
Yeah.
But it kind of like shaped my mind as I got older. I started to think about it. I pointed my first gun at somebody when I was 13. I got shot at the first time when I was in 2nd grade.
Yeah.
So I don't know how old I was, but I think it was like 8 or 9.
Was that at the store?
Yeah, this was all at the store. This is like how great the neighborhood is.
Yeah.
It's in the Mississippi Delta, by the way.
Well, this is great actually, because like one of the questions in the series is like, have you ever had to put skills to use? Like any of the training that you ever had. So this is exactly.
Yeah. Ironically though, this was before I ever
had
any training,
proper training.
Like literally, like so. I'll come back to all that. Like when that question pops up.
No, yeah.
So so I carried a gun all the way until like in high school, and then I go off to college, and I start training in IDPA, like did
speed reload.
Speed reload, dude. You won't.
You racking that slide and catching the catching the round
unloading,
as it comes.
show clear.
Yep.
Don't carry your gun. At least not loaded.
Yeah, never.
Ever.
Yeah.
I think I acquired. I had a Smith 459, best Smith & Wesson that should never have been made. I had a Smith 459. I had a Glock 10 millimeter. Were my first 2 handguns. And the first handgun, well, actually the first 2 handguns I purchased, I forgot the order, but I'm pretty sure it was a Glock 17 and it was a Kimber 1911 when I turned 21. But I competed with all these guns, right? And I was visiting home one day, and we got robbed. My folks got robbed. There was a shooting again. Yeah, this is like.
It seems like a recurring theme. Like
we should move.
Maybe
right?
somebody would call this a clue.
Yeah, y'all should leave the neighborhood.
Hey.
Yeah, a living's a living, right?
Yeah.
So, anyways, somewhere in there, I was like, holy shit, like these are not the skills I need. And as a side note, I did have a gun on me. I had a 1911 on me, but during the robbery, I was kind of the next building.
Yeah.
I saw it go down on the security cameras. And from my experience directly as a teenager and up, this is my second robbery that I was a victim of. And the first time, I had grabbed my dad's M1 Garand. He used to hunt with it. And so he had like the old hunting cabinet.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like an M1 carbine, a universal that I knew that didn't work too well. A bolt action 700, some shotguns.
Yeah.
Bird guns, like 28-inch barrels that get caught everywhere. And the first one I grabbed, because like, I don't know, I was probably about 15 or 16.
Yeah.
And already I was like staging things, just like preparing them in the house.
So that mindset came early.
Yeah, it came early, just like, I don't know where, just like the weird mentality, I guess, watching too many war movies.
Well, I mean, it came from necessity, right? Or
I think
almost
a little bit of both.
You grew up in a situation where your family's
right,
quote unquote at risk. Right?
Exactly. Like I knew the risks were there. We had
different
buildings we had to kind of manage. It was constantly under being threatened of burglary, of arson, plus your daily like shoplifting, vandalism, shit like that. But the weird part was like my dad didn't really think like that. My mom didn't really think like that. Like it was just me. So I was like secretly doing this. Like I would clean the guns like every 6 months. Like Christmas time, I'd be cleaning guns.
Yeah.
And telling them, it's for hunt season. Because my dad was all cool about hunting, but like pointing guns at people, not so cool.
Yeah. It's a different. It's completely
some
people just don't even want to acknowledge that that's a thing. right?
Absolutely.
And because it's hard to like to recognize that like I have the power and the responsibility to take that life if they're threatening me or my family, right? So,
yeah, absolutely. And they're not congruent. Like I learned them separately, by the way.
Yeah.
And anyway, so second robbery happens. I grabbed a long gun that I had purchased. Like after the first time, like grabbing that Garand and like loading it and all that stuff and running out there with this 10-pound gun, like it was a. I was like, man, this is my dad's gun.
Yeah, you gained a new appreciation for those dudes in 1944.
You're right, exactly.
Walking across Europe with like a 10-pound rifle on their back.
I'm 135 pounds back then and carrying like this gun that weighs 100.
It's like it was 10% of your body weight in the gun.
So after that, I said, man, when I turn 18, I'm going to buy me my own rifle.
Yeah.
So instead of me buying a hunting rifle, which I did do, I bought a Remington 710. I had saved my money and I bought an AR-15.
Yeah.
It was a Bushmaster. This was before ARs were popular.
Yeah.
Like there were 2 ARs on the market, or 3: Armalite, Bushmaster, and Ole Arms, Olympic Arms. And like Olympic Arms was like $600, and that was like a shit quality, and then like a Bushmaster was like $1,100.
Well, it has a name too.
Yeah, back then it was a name. So.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, dude. So like. That covers off on like a good portion of the background of like, hey, where'd you kind of get started in training and mindset?
Yeah.
You know, situations you've used some of that in. What about like I know you've done a bunch of commercial training too. Like we've trained with a bunch of the same people, and you obviously teach. Is there a particular topic like like that one of those niches of the training world that you really get like jazzed about?
Yeah, this sounds crazy, but there's like 2 niches I think I do get jazzed about. One is a fighting-based class.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like the real world.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like real world application. And James, Yeager, like.
Yeah.
I got kind of spoiled because when we're talking about like when did I decide to get training, like after the second robbery and all the IDPA shit, I realized. After that, like, I wasn't training. I wasn't even practicing for the real world. Like, all that was a bunch of garbage. And I had a rifle, so I found fighting rifle, and that was my first commercial training.
Oh, wow.
Class.
So it just all blended right into each other.
Yeah, it was like that's one of those weird, like, God sets the moment kind of thing, you know? Like, so about 07, 08, somewhere in there, like, I took a class with Yeager.
So fighting-based?
Yeah, fighting-based. Like,
and what was the other one?
The ability for us to use our brain I hate using the word problem solve because not everything's a problem. Sometimes it's just like waking up and like,
you got to react to it.
But like integration of all your daily skills, whether it's verbal skills hand skills, medical skills, whatever it is. Like it's like the transition period of like handgun to rifle.
Yep.
Like back in the day, like they would do one but never teach a transition, and then they would teach rifle stuff.
Yeah.
And that bridge was lost. And I think what's happening in the training community overall is like we don't have those bridges. Like people take gun classes and they shoot fucking. Sorry, I'm not gonna.
No, so you can curse.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So like the 52 card challenge, like 1 card a year. Like I'm like that's cool. That's a great shooting skill and a good way to measure. But how's it making you a better thinker, a better martial artist, are you carrying your gun every day, And if you're not, what are the tools do you have available that you have with you to protect yourself?
Yeah.
And, you need to have those stacking layers, and you need to be able to use your mind. And I think classes like that are not being taught. Whether it's force on force or whatever, like, we just don't like them.
One of the ones that blew my mind this year, I got to take Sonny Pazikas's conflict management class. No guns involved, no martial skills. It's literally just learning to act and use project your emotions and or expressions to influence other people.
Yeah,
absolutely. And it had nothing to do with fighting, but it does have something to do with, like, it's verbal judo and all the stuff that leads up to when you do need to fight, because there is so much you can do
Yes.
leading up to that to avoid the whole thing in the first place. And the gunfight, I don't get it, and it's the one that I win.
Yep, like Mr. Miyagi, right? Like, punch be there. Sorry, punch come in, don't be there.
Yeah.
Some truth to that.
Yeah, tons of truth.
Yeah.
All right, so so we talked about where you've been, like the things we've done before. The fourth question is, what comes next? Like, are you you're obviously teaching, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Like,
okay.
what do you got coming up this year? Are there any classes that you're like, hey, I need to take that class? Or
Man, this sounds horrible. I say this not really badly, but and this is not like saying I've trained everywhere with everyone.
yeah,
But as you go through all the instructors and trainings and curriculum, state, federal,
yep,
private. By the way, private is probably the best thing you can do.
yeah, because you've had the privilege of taking some
Doing the other
governmental
stuff,
type stuff.
Yeah, when you go into law enforcement, you're like, when you go into like the Fed side, whether it's like military, overseas or over here, like unless you're like getting like tip of the spear stuff, like literally you're there doing that 24/7. The training you're probably gonna get is gonna be very, very subpar.
Yeah.
It's at least common denominator stuff. So pick good instructors out there. Number one, but number two, I guess, is the question is, what's next in the future? I'm gonna take some classes, probably mostly law enforcement based.
Mm-hmm.
The big two is gonna be like conflict management, defensive tactics, CQB,
Awesome.
things like that, team tactics stuff. Because I need it for my job at my department where we're working, and it's a good thinking field too.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot of problem solving. I hate that using those words.
Hey, but you have a profession now that it helps with. Like those are the things that are more important than anything else. So
Absolutely.
that's awesome, dude. So do you have any? Are you teaching any classes this year or anything on the calendar?
Yeah, there's a few classes like kind of on the calendar.
And where can they find those?
They're about to be found on Mike's site, Bulletin.
On bulletin.net.
Yep.
But no, what's the name of your company?
The old name is Mississippi Firearms Training.
Okay.
It's a Facebook page right now.
Okay.
The website and everything, I shut it down during COVID because I was like, I know it's the opposite of what.
Yeah.
Because I actually worked during COVID, unlike a lot of people.
Yeah.
Right. So, anyways, but there's a new company name. I think I'm gonna start launching. Had the idea for a couple of years. I tossed it around with like Gary and a few other guys over the years.
And if you're not ready to put it out just yet,
no, I'll put it out.
Okay.
It's cool. It's called the PACE Training Initiative. For you guys who are acronym smart, PACE is Primary Alternate Contingency Emergency. Marine Corps, a bunch of military guys have used it.
A lot of preparedness stuff.
A lot of preparedness stuff. And the idea is not to focus solely on like gun training, but like a bigger encompassing of whether it's guys, and it's not just going to be me. I got some local guys who are like, they do this stuff, but like they do it to groups, and those groups don't like doing open enrollment classes, So it's like, hey, just give me a holler, shoot me an email, and I'll send some guy who I can say, hey, this guy's good to go. You should holler at him and see what they can do for you. And the idea is to help prepare yourself, your families, and from everything from like the bum on the street to like a home invasion to active shooters to a medical emergency. That's another random topic I won't get into, but like the big things that I've noticed, like Yeager would say it like this: the 3 R's that you need is recent, realistic, and relevant on your training.
Mm-hmm.
But what I find kind of interesting is like as we go through the years, instructors, like it doesn't matter if you're a cop, military, whatever, like it's hard for them to be recent because they worked the job 20 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we regurgitate a lot of shit, and then we're like, well, does this really work? Like, it's like gear stuff.
Yeah.
They're like, well, Red Dot.
And there's two types of guys that have been doing, like, they might do it forever.
Yeah.
But you have some that kind of offer that doctrinal knowledge that's like, hey, that still has some value. And then you have some that, even if they've been teaching for a long time or even a short time, they're doing that kind of like, hey, we're pushing an envelope or we're innovating.
Yes.
And I think is a great way to kind of really get a great perspective of getting both of them.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Is you still have to, I won't say test bed it, but you have to see what really works,
Yeah.
And sometimes like it becomes doctrinal,
Yeah.
Like I know this works.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna tell you how I know, but it works, you know. And so those are like the things like with the PACE initiative I'm thinking about launching.
You should definitely keep an eye on the channel and Facebook and all that stuff. I'm definitely gonna get the word out about the PACE initiative and make sure we get some people into your classes.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, Bulletin's all about getting students into the hands of good trainers, man. And I've had the privilege of learning under you, and I would, in a heartbeat, recommend people to come your way wherever you are.
Well, thank you, sir.
Yeah. One last question for you.
Sure, go.
This is a big one. Or it can be, I mean, it's however you interpret it.
All right, time's in it, done. Okay.
Yeah.
Go for it, please.
What has been your biggest fight? Yeah, it's a doozy.
No, this one's a doozy. You know, like, I'm going to revert to Jaeger because this came from his signature fighting pistol. But, you know, they talk about the 3 fights you have, right, is the gunfight. And if you fight when to survive that one, you know, you get to go to the legal battle and the emotional battle. And you know, you'll get to that point and it will be the emotional battle.
Yeah.
Like, it will follow you, you know. You will have, I think the hardest one so far is just like, life is finite. And like, guys like me, we acknowledge that. We've acknowledged it for a long time.
Yeah.
But then you realize like, all the other guys that you know, your friends, your family, your teammates, that it applies to them too, obviously. And it sucks when they go before you. And you live with that.
Yeah.
And day in and day out, man. So trusting God, trusting yourself, and keep working, man. Don't give up. Like, call somebody, talk to your friends, whoever they are, call them every day.
That emotional fight comes on from everything.
Yeah.
Like, the other two, those come from a really shitty situation, but the emotional fight, that can come from anywhere.
From anywhere.
Shoot, sniper bullet coming out of the trees, like, lost a friend.
Right.
That sucks.
Yeah, or car wreck, you know, or something crazy, cancer, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I think we lose track of that, like, of preparing ourselves and preparing other people, helping them and their families, because it will weigh on you, and it will weigh on you hard.
Yeah.
In addition to all the other shit you got to deal with, right?
Yeah.
Like, normal stuff.
Yeah, exactly. The day-to-day stuff is hard enough.
Stuff.
And that just adds on top of it.
Exactly. That's 99.9% of your life. The gunfight and hopefully any of the legal stuff that may come from that or something else is like 0.00001% of your time.
Yeah.
But that other 99%, it'll crush you if you don't stay on top of it.
Yeah.
So, bless your food and pray every day, man.
Be thankful.
Yeah,
I'm thankful for meeting you, sir.
Likewise.
Getting to train with you throughout the years. Thankful that I got to run into you and that you made the time to come out for SHOT Show this year. It's a blessing to run into such awesome people. Man, I hope to see more of you more often.
Likewise, Mike. It's always good to see guys like you, man.
Yeah.
Good friends out there.
So get out there and train. Meet people like Calvin.
Hello, sir.
And check them out on, is it still the Facebook page, Mississippi Firearms Training?
Yeah, it's still Mississippi Firearms Training.
Okay.
It's kind of an open forum. Like, I don't mod it too much.
Yeah.
Just go out there. You can post your own classes, too.
Yeah.
I'm with Mike and James and a lot of guys. Just go out there and train.
Yep.
If nothing else, you find out who not to train with.
Yeah.
And I might be that guy.
Yeah. So go check out Calvin. You'll see all his stuff starting to pop up this year on Bulletin.
Yeah.
And thank you, sir, for taking the time.
Thank you, sir.
And let's do this again more often.
Sure, absolutely. Maybe it'll be shorter next time.
Yeah.
It's like 20 minutes.
23 minutes.
Oh, shit.
We got it.
All right.
All right. Bye, everybody.